Hello and welcome to another episode of Truly Bedrock with me, Mr. Beardstone. I have no idea why I'm standing up here, it's just kind of where I landed. But from up here you can, of course, see the paths we put in at the end of last episode, and of course the area where we discussed building a headquarters with Tiz. I've still made zero progress on that, but I will get to the planning of that very soon. And these buildings over here, maybe later on in the episode we'll be able to get some of these down, but first, we have other things we need to be doing. And that is once again to do with the shop over here and a small marketing campaign that we're going to be doing. So today, we're going on an adventure. So from what I understand, the Pigglesworth seems to think he's trapped in some kind of weird quest system. He keeps talking off camera. It's all very weird, basically. It's all very strange. So I have a plan to try and get ahead from him, and that plan is going to start over here, in the abandoned village. So this isn't too far from spawn, although it is getting dark, so I'm hoping there's a bed around here somewhere. Well, it was a bit musty, but it did the job. So, around here we have an abandoned village, and what I want to do is I need to convince Pigglesworth to come over here to essentially start a quest. Now, if you did watch any of last season, you may remember that I actually made a Christmas game, an escape room game, over the Christmas period, and I had a lot of fun building it, and people seem to have a lot of fun playing it. And this season, I'm not doing the same thing. I'm sorry, there won't be an escape room this season. However, that doesn't mean we can't still have fun and make a sort of game that's got a bit of a storyline, and so we're going to be making an RPG quest, and it will be open to all the TBers, they will all be able to give it a go, but first off, we're going to specifically target Pigglesworth, because, well, part of this quest may involve having to give up a head or two, and this will be a good way for us to actually get them from him. So the quest itself is going to be split up into chapters, and today we're just going to be making the first chapter, and this is actually the chapter that we will be releasing and giving to Pigglesworth, and then letting others in town have a go once he's done. But, hopefully, we'll get to a few chapters later on in the series, just to expand on the story a little bit. So once Piggy receives his summons to go on an adventure, this will be the first place he comes to, the abandoned village, and we're going to build a small fishing dock down there, and that is going to be our first location. The second location is a shipwreck, which is actually just over there, although you can't really see it at the moment, it's getting a bit dark. The third location is over here, which is inside a pillager tower. I ducked inside because there's lots of pillagers around, but that's good, that's exactly what we want. We want there to be some foes for people to fight when they come on over. However, this tower holds a secret because beneath it, in fact just down here, if I go down and round, we actually have a desert temple, and this is sort of probably about 30 or 40 blocks off to the side of the pillager tower, which is just over that way. So I kind of want to utilise these two structures as well as the shipwreck, and we're going to build ourselves a dock, and that is going to be the basic locations of our quest, at least chapter 1 anyhow. So you've seen the 3 locations, and now I need to make a start on the builds, and I think I'm going to start over here at the abandoned village, because this one's going to be quite simple. We just need to build up a small dock, and of course a bridge, and maybe a couple of signs to sort of point Piggy in the right direction when he gets here. So I've got a few materials and things, and I'm going to make a start. Let's see how we get on, shall we? A short while later, and I've got the bridge in, which actually comes across from the village at the top. I've decided not to put the signs up there just yet, because I don't want people finding this and starting the quest before I've actually done the rest of it. So with that in mind, I'm not going to be putting in the lectern just yet, but I will put the building in, as I say, but I will leave all these sort of bits that actually make it look like it's part of a quest out of the picture for now, because I don't want people stumbling across to me in the shipwreck when I'm still there working on it, and same with the temple and so on. I mean, it's unlikely because this is quite well hidden, but you never know, I'd rather be safe than sorry. So how am I going to do the fishing shack? Short while later, and I think I'm happy with how this has come out. It only took about 10 minutes or so. We've just basically slammed down lots and lots of spruce and oak logs, a few barrels and things. I did put the lectern and the book here, but the book is obviously empty at the moment. And of course, we do need to get our friend Ewan in here, which will probably mean I'm going to need to replace the floor with honey blocks. and put some carpet on them, just so he can't, you know, jump out and escape. But this should work quite well for us, and we can stash the boats in one of these, and probably work out some sort of payment system. But don't worry, they'll be buying them with gold that I will give them at the start of the adventure, because part of this is that they're going to have to completely empty their inventory. They're not allowed to take anything that I haven't given them on this adventure. And one of the things I will be giving them is some money, because they're going to need that in a couple of places for bribes and buying things to complete the adventure. So of course, to make this area complete, we haven't just done down here. I've put a few bits on the stairs as well. Once again, nothing too fancy, just a few bits here and there and a few leaves just to break it up. But there we go, the bridge is now fully lit up as well. Once again, nothing particularly fancy, but it'll do the job just nicely. So with step 1 as complete as we're going to get it for now, it's time for us to move over to the shipwreck and make a start over there. But I do need to return to base first to get myself some food, some fireworks, and of course, the resources we're going to need over there to make that part of the adventure work well. I'm now over here at the second location, and this time I brought a night vision potion with me so we can see the shipwreck. And as you can see, it's pretty far down and it's right on the edge of a ravine. All in all, it just looks pretty nice around here. And I suppose the good thing is there's a little bit of an air chute there if people really want to risk that, because you have to bear in mind they're going to be here without respiration, without depth strider, without any of that. So this is quite a dangerous drive for them, especially if the boat gets taken out by the air bubbles like that. Almost did just then. Oh my. Right, so let's dive in and have a look at what we're working with. Luckily, we do have respiration and depth strider, so we're fine. So I don't think I want to make this too difficult in that regard, so what I'm going to do is drain out this area here, I think. Conveniently enough, I have lots and lots of sponges, and as long as we keep spamming them around, eventually we should end up with a nice and dry room, or at least as dry as it's going to get, I guess. So that's the captain's cabin looking dry, and I think I'm actually going to leave this little leak at the entrance here just to make it a bit harder to leave when we're all said and done in here. And I like the fact there's a bit of water on the floor. It kind of shows that yes, the boat is underwater, but because of the magic of Minecraft and trapdoors, it's not completely flooded out in here. So this room itself is going to be quite simple. Once it's discovered, we're going to have a lectern here, and that is going to have a captain's journal on it, essentially. Kind of explaining what's happened here and why the ship's at the bottom, how they got here, and of course, giving a clue as to what our adventurers are actually looking for. I know I still haven't told you everything and all the ins and outs of the story yet, and that's because, if I'm perfectly honest, I'm still kind of working it out in my head as we go along. It's nothing that's set in stone. As I say, I do have a rough idea of what it is I want to do and where the story's going to go. It's just not something that's currently completely, you know, worked out and all that stuff. But by the end of the episode, once we've built up the areas and tweaked and changed things as we go along, I'm sure we'll have a complete story, because if we don't, this entire thing is pointless. I'm going to spend a bit of time just decorating this room, making it look a little bit more captain-y. It looks a little bit, you know, a little bit bland at the moment, so we're just going to add a few small details, nothing too major. And once I've done that, we're going to be digging a hole that's going to go down there. That's where the adventurers are going to get led, and that's going to go to a small cave, which we need to go down there and create. So I'm going to crack on with that, and I'll meet you back here in just a moment. That is looking much more like a captain's cabin. There we go. We've got lots of stuff going on. I know that if a ship had sunk, it'd probably be a bit all over the place, but as you'll soon find out, the captain was actually trapped down here for a small while after the ship sank, trapped in an air bubble, unable to swim away because he never was any good at swimming. And yeah, that's my excuse for why things are still tidy. Plus, we don't really have the option to throw stuff all over the place in Minecraft, so it is what it is. So once our noble adventurer comes in here, they'll find the journal. That will lead them to this trapdoor at the back. It should be quite simple to find. And then that's going to go down here into a small cave system, which currently looks very, very andesite-y. But yeah, we will make that look better, don't worry. And that's going to lead down to essentially this little area here. And we're going to have a small waterfall, we'll have a barrel in the bottom, probably down here somewhere, and that's where the next clue is going to be hidden. And we'll probably have something to do with some armor stands down here, maybe have the captain down here in a corner, you know, a note in his hand, his last words, that kind of thing. But before we get to any of that, what I need to do is make this look a bit more like a natural cave. It looks a bit boring at the moment, so let's see if we can, yeah, make this look a little bit more fancy. That is looking much more cave-like, and I'm a lot happier as a result. So down here, we also have our hapless captain. I do need to swap the head out. However, ideally, I want to be using a skeleton head, but getting hold of those is quite difficult. Even with the mob head pack on, we can still only get them the normal way, which is by blowing up a skeleton with a charged creeper. Now, this is something we have actually already done, I just cannot for the life of me think of what I've done with the head. It may well be used in the patron hall, in which case we're going to have to get another one, but to be honest, I really don't know. So we're going to have a little look and see if we can find that, but for now, we've just got a standard villager head on him, and in here we have a barrel down the bottom. This is going to be his final journal entry, and there will also be a key, which is actually going to be a compass attached to a lodestone, which will take the player to the very next location, which is of course the Pillager outpost. So with this cave done, and of course the shipwreck at the top complete, I think we're ready to move on from this area and go to phase number 3. Although in saying that, there are a couple of things we're going to need for phase 3 to actually be effective, and that involves us going to the nether, because we need at least one lodestone, because we need to actually link a compass to it, and, well, if I can't find a skeleton skull, it might be worth trying to grab a wither one in the meantime. Although in saying that, I believe we do have a zombie head, so we could always use that, I suppose, make him look green and manky. So here we are over at quest location number 3. So this is where the compass is going to point to the lodestone, which we did of course have to go to the nether to get some netherites. We actually ended up with 2 lodestones because, well, we're probably going to use another one at some point in future, so I figured while I was there, might as well grab enough. What I've also done is dug out the entrance, which is going to be here. This is actually going to be a water drop, so once they're down here, there is no chance of them getting back. And then if you follow this all the way round, I really probably should light this up at some point, but if you follow this round, this then goes to the temple. So we've got all this space to work with to put in some, you know, parkour, some traps, some things which are essentially designed to make sure they die at least once, because, you know, we are here to harvest heads after all. That then opens out into this area, which I have dug out a little bit more, but there is an underground temple here, which is absolutely amazing. It has lots of Indiana Jones vibes to it, but in here is where we're going to have the final prize, essentially. So once they get to here, they will have actually completed everything. There won't be any more puzzles from this point onwards. It will just be a case of claiming the reward, discovering the temple, and so on, which we're probably going to fill up with riches. So all the trials are going to be in these tunnels here. And once you're done, once you've collected your prize and so on, you'll turn around and an exit here will be opened for you. So that will be blocked off initially, and we'll just have it open once they actually claim their reward. That will then lead them outside here. We'll just have a simple barrel, so nothing too much is given away. Once again, we'll block off this entrance with some pistons, and, well, be a barrel full of boats. They can be on their way, and that will be the end of Chapter 1. But there will, of course, be a Chapter 2, which will utilise the item they find in Chapter 1. But we'll hammer out all those details a little bit later. For now, what I do want to do is probably make a start up at the Pillager Tower, which means I actually need to go out this way. So the very first thing I want to do up here is actually just make the entrance a bit more accessible. It's kind of hidden down here where it is. It's kind of hard to get to, and I think just with a few simple tweaks we can make that a little bit better and just make it so people can actually get to the entrance without having to dig in through the wall. There we go, just something simple like that will do for now. We can make that look a bit fancier later on, because we're also going to need to sort of, you know, decorate this room, make the tower look a little bit more interesting. But this is what I'm interested in right now. So we just need to put in a barrel in the floor here, and then sort out an item filter system type thing that's then going to open a trapdoor over here. I think I've managed to get all of the redstone in, and it's quite simple. Basically, when you put one of the mysterious keys into here, it gets filtered by this system, and it then goes through, which triggers this every time a key passes through. This is just a basic filter system here, and once a key passes through there, that will fire a signal into the dropper. The dropper just spits a bit of sandstone onto a pressure plate, and that is important because it gives us a 5-minute timer. Because as long as that item is on the wooden pressure plate, it's going to be pressed, which is going to supply power up here, and it's going to open the trapdoor. So the trapdoor will stay open for 5 minutes. I don't want it to be a very quick thing. I don't want it just to snap open and go shut again, because if the person misses it, they've got to, well, try and get another mysterious key somehow. So let's quickly try this out and see if it opens up our trapdoor. Well, it looks like I've messed up some redstone. That's not surprising. Let's have a look and see what I've done here. Ah, okay. I need to, there we go. I need to make sure that this back bit here is also blocked off. Oh no. Okay, so a creeper just went off. But I think the only thing it messed up was the lodestone and the room. Oh no, a creeper messed up the room. Yeah, I haven't done all the lighting properly yet. Well, that'll learn me. On the plus side, it didn't harm the redstone, and as you can see, the trapdoor is open that goes down our hole. So, I guess I should put some lights on the outside here. Well, I did have a lovely designed room up here. Now it's kind of a lovely designed room with a massive hole in the middle of the floor. So I'm going to quickly get this fixed up. There we go. We've got that fixed up after that slight incident. And I think we're all back to normal. Now, what I do want to do is put something that kind of represents danger up there. So I might put a pillager head or something similar. And the same sort of thing out here. Just to sort of show the path of where you need to go. And as I say, this is, of course, the trapdoor. However, this should all now work properly. We should be able to test it properly from up here. So if we put in a mysterious key, there we go. That opens the trapdoor. That works an absolute treat. Excellent. We'll also need to put a book there, which I did have, but that got blown up for some reason. Don't know what happened there. Let me see. Okay, I've got another spare here. We'll put that down. Once again, no writing in them as yet. We'll do that at the end. But this is now ready to move on into the depths, which is where we're going to make things a lot more interesting and challenging for our young adventurers. In order to start on the more challenging part of the puzzle, however, we need to go get ourselves more things. We need some lava, we need some blue ice, we need chests, we need a little bit more of some redstone stuff and things. We need lots of trapdoors, lots of redstone, and lots of black concrete, of which I currently have 0, absolutely 0. So that's going to be the first thing we do. I've been hard at work underground, and we've made a good start on the next step of the adventure. So if we drop our mysterious key in here, that will open our trapdoor, and we can drop down. So the first thing you may notice is a distinct lack of black concrete, which I said I was going to need lots and lots of. I've actually decided I need none of. Completely changed the idea down here from turning it into a void into making it a bit more on theme with where the adventurer is actually heading. And yes, we now have a bed here because it's quite likely the adventurer is going to die when they try and go through these first couple of tasks, which is all I've done so far. But we do also have cheat passes. So if someone does die, for example on this first one here we do have lava, there's a couple of options to get across here. You can try and jump, the ceiling's very low so that's probably not going to pan out, but there is also a trick to using this pressure plate. But I'm not going to go giving away all the secrets right now. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to use a cheat pass and have a look at the second part of this as well, because I don't fancy my chances of getting across there via jumping. So similar to the key upstairs, if we put that in there, that will use a dropper to dispense an item and open that door, and it will keep it open for a short while. Well, 5 minutes to be honest, because once someone has cheated a section, I would rather if they died again and hadn't set their spawn in the next save room, which is exactly what this is going to be, then they don't have to, you know, keep killing themselves and giving that many heads. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do want lots of heads, but I don't want them getting frustrated. So to get into this room, you have to, of course, go across the trapdoors and all the loud noises from all these droppers. So you have no choice but to run through here. And this is basically a test of strength and also just blind luck to a point. So each of these droppers are going to have a variety of things in them. Some of them are going to have lots and lots of arrows, others are going to have lots and lots of snowballs, but with the chance of maybe getting hit with a stronger arrow, because of course we do have lots and lots of potions. And with those we can dip arrows in them and we can create arrows of pretty much any effect we want. So I like the idea of having it as a bit potluck. You know, you might get hit by a Turtle Master Potion, which yes is going to slow you down, but it's also going to protect you from the other arrows that are hitting you. But then you might get hit with an arrow of weakness or an arrow of strength. You could even get hit with healing, who knows. But that's where the class system comes in, because we are going to be having different classes. When the adventure starts, the adventurer is going to choose what class they have, and different classes are going to have different things. So if, for example, you choose warrior, you're likely to have better armor, so you stand more chance of making it through this bit without taking lots and lots of damage. However, if you're a wizard and you're armed with basically potions and things like that, you might be okay, but you might also want to save them for a later challenge. So yeah, that's where the risk is going to be. As far as I'm concerned though, that just adds a lot more variety to the game and also a little bit of replayability, because you're going to have to use different tactics when you're a different class. A good example of that would be on this one here. What I could do is actually put in a bit here and create a ledge at the top here, but you can't get up there. Of course you can't get up there. No one can get up there unless you're the wizard and you've got a jump boost potion, which suddenly when you take that you'll be able to get up there and you can skip this dangerous section as it is. So putting in little paths like that are going to add variety to the classes. It just means we'll probably have to put a slightly different challenge up there for the wizard. So that's the progress update so far. We've still got another section to do. So as I say, this is going to be another save room. We're going to have another bed here. But then there's going to be quite a big parkour section through here. Which, I know, everyone hates parkour. But like I said, I want their heads. There will be an option to skip this as well. But, well, to do that, they're going to have to give up one of their heads. So I'm going to dig out a nice big area here for some parkour. And it's, well, it's going to be a little bit different. And by different, I do of course mean an absolute nightmare of ice and lava. Yes, excellent. So this is actually doable. You may be wondering why certain blocks are where they are. It's because there are kind of risky shortcuts. There's also a bit of a save mechanism if you happen to be the wizard or have a fire res potion on you. Then you can swim up this piece of lava, get back on this block and carry on. But I assure you this is doable. I have tested it a little bit. We may test it later or even on stream at some point. But it does work. It is doable. But I did fall in the lava quite a few times. So yes, a fire res potion, definitely useful. But most of them won't have that, of course, unless they happen to be the wizard. But then I am also thinking of adding in a trader here or there, so you can spend your gold pieces to actually get a few pieces of equipment, but you're gonna kind of need to try and guess at what you might need, because, well, you won't know you need a fire res potion till you get in here, but we could do something similar over here as well, maybe replace the floor with some soul soil, so that it doesn't slow you down when you run across it normally, but if you happen to have upgraded and bought yourself some soul speed boots, you can nip through here a lot quicker and you're much less likely to get hit. But there are all the little bits of things and stuff that I'm going to have to work out at the end when I work out the classes, and of course work out how things are going to benefit. And speaking of class benefits, we have another one over here. So if, for example, you are the archer, you're very unlikely to survive falling in the lava. But you have an option. If you still have any arrows left by this point, which unless you've been shooting loads of enemies for no apparent reason, you're probably still going to have all of them. You can shoot one at this target block, which will then open up these steps here just to give you an easier route. There's still, you know, quite a high risk of falling in, especially with the ice, but it's much easier to do than the full route round the edge. We do, of course, have the cheat passes as well, so we've got a full chest in there, and we just put one in there, which will then open up the door. So this path loops round the back of the parkour and drops you down into the tunnel on the other side of it. So once you've died once, you'll have a head, and you can trade that in to skip that section if you're finding it too difficult. And then once again, we've got this here. So we've got a box that lets you put in your items, and at each section, you can now press a button and it will pull all the items through from the last section you were in. So you've still got access to your things that you want to carry from place to place, and if you do die and then decide, oh, actually, I want my fire res potion, it will still be in the room where you set your spawn. But obviously, we do need to be able to retrieve them when we get to the end, and that's what this button does. It just releases the hopper and everything comes through. This tunnel then leads through to the final area, which is, of course, our temple. I've kept it quite simple out the front here. I might add a few more details, some crates, maybe a campsite or something like that. But in general, I wanted to keep it quite empty. When you go through here, you then run over this pressure plate, and if you walk into here, there'll be an item that dispenses from a dropper there, just spinning here, and that is actually going to be the final quest item, the thing that you've been doing all of this for. Although I have no idea what that's going to be just yet, because I've still not done the story. And then there's also a book here where we'll put the closing comments on the quest. So I guess the next thing to do is to work out the story. Oh, and also running over this does also open up the exit. So when you leave the temple, you can straight away see your way out, and there'll be a barrel of boats here. So still got a couple of little bits to add. The main thing, of course, being the quest item, but we've also got to tie all this into a story, and we need to add the fisherman to the start, because without him, none of this can even happen. So I'm going to quickly run around a little bit, and then I'm going to do a test run, which I'm not going to show on camera, because I'd kind of like you to see the first run through on Piggy's channel, and see someone who doesn't really know what they're expecting run through the quest. But I am going to test it myself and just make sure that it is completely doable. I do also still need to work out what the classes are going to be. So I'm going to spend a bit of time thinking about that as I write the story. We might make a few adjustments to some of the course here and there, but then we'll obviously need to set up the call to action over at Piggy's place. That took so long, it is unbelievable. It's actually the next day now, but we do finally have all of the story in place. Everything's tied together. I've added some finishing touches and a few other surprises, and I think we're pretty much there. So over here at Piggy's base, he will come out and this is what he will see. He will see the quest cat sitting under a light, which should hopefully draw attention to it, and he'll see this book. He won't see these three shulkers. We'll get get to those in just a moment, but they are, of course, the different classes. So what I'm going to quickly do is just show you this first book here so you can get a flavour of what's going on. So this is the quest for the Lost Staff of Carness, and this is Chapter 1, The Lost Temple, because, well, we buried things in a temple. Brave adventurer, you have been summoned to assist in the search of an ancient lost relic broken into 3 pieces and scattered throughout the lands. The staff of Carness was infused with his soul upon death, creating a dark and ominous weapon too powerful for one being to wield. And the rain starts just at the right time. Excellent. Add to the atmosphere. A meeting of the ancient tribes determined the only course of action was to dismantle the staff, with each tribe becoming the keeper of a part of this almighty weapon to ensure peace and prevent destruction. This, of course, was thought to be a myth, a twisted version of events that convoluted over time, until recently. You must go to the abandoned village south of Spawntown and seek out Ewan the fisherman. He has heard tale of a missing sea captain who may have been on the trail of a piece of the ancient staff, which you must recover. And then there's just a few things that basically say before you start, empty your inventory, take a class from the barrel, and then we've got 3 classes. So the first class is the Hunter, who comes with just basic leather armor, a hunter's blade, a hunter's bow, 8 arrows, 32 carrots, and of course 10 gold coins. The next class is the Warrior, who has better armor, has a much better sword, which does have unbreaking and mending, as do the bow and the blade. They do have a couple of enchants on them, the main ones being the mending and unbreaking, and a Warrior's shield, as well as the classic golden carrots and golden coins. And lastly, we have the Wizard, who once again just has basic leather armor, has a wooden sword, which is named a Wizard's Staff. Let's just pretend, shall we? As well as 4 potions. So we have a potion of leaping, fire resistance, water breathing, and instant health, as well as 10 gold coins and some golden carrots. So they are the 3 classes that Piggy will be choosing from, so we're going to put those into the barrel and quickly replace the moss carpet. But with that, I think we are now actually 100% ready for this quest to begin. Oh, there's a zombie. It's also getting a little bit dangerous around here, so I think I'm going to part ways with this area. So as I said, I don't want to spoil the adventure for Piggy. I have no idea if he watches my videos or not, but I don't want to go into detail about the story or any of the other secrets I've hidden along the way. So as such, I guess you are going to have to wait and see. And if you do want to get some early previews, then of course do go see Piggy's video, see how he gets on with the adventure when he does complete it. And at some point in future, we'll do a walkthrough of Chapter 1 ourselves, probably before we do Chapter 2, so we can remind ourselves exactly what we did, what's going on, and go from there. But sadly, that's all from me today. It's been a lot of fun. We've had a really dramatic exit here, it would seem. If you have enjoyed the video though, please do leave a like, and if you're new here, please do consider subscribing, and I'll see you all on the next episode. Bye-bye now.